Hi, everyone. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. I just wanted to give you a little heads up about the game plan for class today, especially because you know that I'm not there with you and you have a substitute. So I want to make sure that you all understand everything that's expected of you today so you're able to find great success. So here we go. So today's class is going to be you completing part 2 of the 3 parts of investigation 2. So last class you completed part 1. Your substitute today will be handing you back your part 1. Please note that none of this is graded. This is a test, and so it'll all be graded at the end. So what you receive back is literally what you did last class. There's no highlighter, no corrections, no nothing. So you're going to take that part 1 and you're going to begin part 2 by using your part 1. So part 2 will also be handed to you by the substitute. It's a little packet. It's like 4 pages, but front and back only, 2 pages stapled together. So you are going to complete part 1 and part 2 by the end of today's class. So please keep in mind that via Google Drive, I shared with you yesterday, or now at this point, I guess on Wednesday, I shared with you your investigation 1, both parts 1 and part 2 fully corrected. So my recommendation is go into your Google Drive, look for what I shared with you, and you'll have access to both parts 1 and part 2 from investigation 1, which should help you as you go through investigation 2. So let's go ahead and discuss what you're doing in part 2 today. So you're doing your data analysis, and initially you are going to find an equation, a polynomial regression equation for revenue and for cost of goods sold. That's what A and B right here are telling you to do. So using R squared and residuals, what you did in part 1, you're now going to determine which polynomial regression is the best fit for revenue and which one is the best fit for cost of goods sold. And from there, you're going to go ahead and you're going to explain why you chose the model or the degree that you did. From there, when you get to part C, this is where things get a little bit more complicated and more cumulative. So you need to go back and think all the way back to unit 1 about how we use operations of polynomials to be able to find the gross profit regression equation. So what you're going to do is you will take your revenue equation, the one that you found up here in A, and you will take your cost of goods sold equation, which you found in B, and you will write them both here in I and double I, so 1 and 2. Then, keeping in mind that revenue minus cost of goods sold equals gross profit, you're going to take those two equations, do your polynomial operations to find the gross profit as a function of X years since 2011. So you're finding the gross profit equation by doing the polynomial operations, which you'll see right here. You're not finding the equation by using stat calculations like you did with revenue and cost of goods sold. So using polynomial operations, you will find the gross profit equation and you will show all of your work down here. And then you will write your equation at the bottom. From there, you're going to take that equation and you'll complete part D. So in D, you're going to use the regression equation you found to find the residuals for the gross profit from 2018 to 2019. So using your model, you need to find out what it would have been in 2018, 2019, and 2020. Then you'll take your actual and you'll find the residual for all 3 of these years. You'll then talk about whether it's interpolation or extrapolation. You'll find the greatest residual out of those 3 years and explain whether it over or under predicted. And then you're going to talk about the validity of the model based on your residuals. In part E, you're going to make a prediction for the year 2021 by using, again, the gross profit model that you found in part C. So the one that you found using polynomial operations. And then in part F, you're going to do the same thing, but you're making a prediction for 2025. Again, don't forget your units, interpolation or extrapolation. Last part, linearizing your power data. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back to your TI and you're going to add a list in spreadsheets. Using your information that you collected on part 1 for gross profit from 2011 to 2020, you're going to now make an XY table for gross profit. And from there, you will create a power equation. So remember, you're going to add a data and statistics page. You're going to go ahead and find your f of x equals a times x to the n equation. All right, so from there, you'll linearize the data, you'll answer the questions, and you will be done with part two. So, couple quick things to note. With the calculator, if you're making predictions and you get a negative value for your gross profit prediction, chances are you probably did something wrong when you were doing your polynomial operations with your revenue minus cost of goods sold equation. So, go back and check your work. If your predictions are higher or lower than you maybe thought they should be, well, that might be what it actually is. You have to remember, you're not studying exponential graphs anymore, where it's obvious that the prediction should be higher. You're studying polynomial graphs. So the graph goes up and down. And so that might be what happens when you go to make your prediction. It might be higher or lower. From there, if you are using your power, if you're looking for the linearizing your power data and you get an error read on the calculator, my recommendation is to go back and look at your previous investigations, go back to your data activity practice that we did, go back to all the notes from the unit, because chances are you did something wrong, not your calculator. And I say this from experience. I know you guys are incredible. And I know that sometimes we hate on the TI Inspire calculator, but in this case, I've seen multiple people do the actual process wrong. And that's why they're getting an error read. So go back through and look at your process. Okay, that's all of part two. So once you are done, save, 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 save your document. Obviously, you can't send it to me today, so you will send it to me next class, but save, 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 save. I cannot stress that enough. Then what you're going to do is you will take both part one and part two, put them together, and you will hand them back to the substitute. Do not take part one or part two home with you. They must go back to the substitute, which they will put back into a folder that I will get. So again, you're handing in part one and part two back to the substitute. If you do not finish in class time, that's okay. I kind of figured that that might happen with a couple of you because it happened in the other classes and I planned for that. So the goal is to finish everything. But if you don't, then you will have time at the start of next class to finish before you start part three. Keeping in mind, we do want to get that done. So make sure that you finish that. But if you that you are working to finish, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world. Just pack it up wherever you're at and hand it back into the substitute. And then we will figure out how we will proceed. But don't stress. We've got this figured out. We have time together. All right. All that being said, you have no homework this weekend. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you on Tuesday when we get back for class together. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend. Bye.